30-day period. Prizes can be picked up by the winner at our studios inside the Big Red Barn, 4 miles south of Clinton on U.S. Highway 51 within 2 weeks of winning. Our office hours are weekdays from 8 till 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Employees of WHOW, WEZC, and their families are not allowed to participate in our contest. Thanks for participating and for listening to WHOW and WEZC.
DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air and online 24 hours a day. The latest local news stories are heard every hour on Central Illinois' news station, the Big 1520 AM and 92.3 FM WHOW. Stream live at DeWittDailyNews.com. They're also heard every hour on the station that's your easy choice, 95.9 FM WEZC. And to read the latest local news on your electronic device, including tablets, iPhones, and smartphones, go to DeWittDailyNews.com. DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air, online, 24 hours a day.
News time is 8 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Tuesday. From the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 8 o'clock newscast. With big interest in solar development in DeWitt County and numerous hearings already in the books, county leadership believes it can do more to beef up its ordinances. At Monday night's DeWitt County Land Use Committee meeting, Committee Chair Buck Carter feels now that they have a few siting hearings under their belts, they need to adjust and tighten up some of the language in the county's solar ordinances, referencing cybersecurity concerns.
I had listed on there is that obviously we just went through these 4 hearings. I know before when we went through, like with the wind towers, once we went through, we realized there was probably things that we should be taking a stronger look at in our ordinance. One of the things that obviously we talked about in the hearings that's not in our ordinances is this security of these apparatuses that they use. Although I did some checking and the state is considering that. I guess it's in the funnel somewhere in the state system. State works a lot slower than we do, even though we're pretty slow in these processes, is to make changes. But my question was, do you think it's worthwhile for us to consider an ordinance change regarding the condition that you laid out to put on, or should we just let it ride and leave it as a condition? Let's see what happens with the state. And I think both of these companies that's going to have battery storage, both of them agreed to the language that's in that proposal that's at the ZBA. I would recommend that the ZBA forward that onto the board so that we can actually confirm that and make it part of our ordinance, particularly since these 2 companies have already agreed to it.
Chris Hammer feels if the state of Illinois were to overrule the county's ordinances or pass their own, then all they'd have to do is revert the ordinance back. But board chair Joe Whitty points out the county is being too restrictive compared to the state's regulations in some circumstances.
I don't think it would hurt to do that, right? We do it, and then if the state overrules us, then we change it.
Well, it's kind of what we had before, is that we had our ordinance, the state came out with one, and we just went back in and adapted our ordinance to meet the state requirement.
So if they're going to take whatever, we can put it in until they
do.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, a couple things I had jotted down. So one, I was looking at fees. Obviously, do our fees line up with what we actually spent? I'm not sure if we're at a point yet, but we'll know, if the fees were too high or too low. But really, the fees shouldn't be. It should cover our expenses and not be pad the general fund. Another thing that we have the 1.5 mile distance from municipalities. I think we got to look at that again because we have in there that they need that letter from the municipalities with 1.5 miles. But if you review this statute, it's talking specifically about wind only. It doesn't specifically say that applies to solar. So you could argue that our ordinance is more restrictive than the state statute allows, or at least an applicant could. And I'm thinking, Santa Ana, for example, if they come in, Farmer City has opposed that, but if we look at the statute, I'm not sure that it gives us, that would be reason for us to deny it from the statute standpoint. Our ordinance does require it, but I think you could now say our ordinance is more restrictive than the state statute.
Carter believes Whitty is being too conservative. However, Whitty says he's trying to protect the county from potential lawsuits from solar applicants.
Joe, from my standpoint, you're very conservative on what the statute says and what is restricted. At some point, and more counties in Illinois are saying, enough's enough. At some point, somebody's going to draw the line. And our ordinances at the 1.5 miles been in there a long time. And I think we stick with it. And should somebody decide to challenge us on it, then we'll let them challenge it and see what happens.
In black and white, it says that that 1.5 mile setback is tied to municipalities for wind. It doesn't call out solar. So, if we want to go by what's in paper, which we're concerned about having things documented and cleaned up, why would we leave something that is ambiguous or flat out overly restrictive in there just because we're drawing a line in the sand? I don't understand that. So like I said, I think if we're going to go in there, we're not proposing anything at this point, but I think it goes both ways. And I think that's something that we could get challenged on. Call it conservative, whatever. I don't care. It's in the statute as applicable to wind, but it's not for solar. And yet our ordinance calls it out for solar. And I just think if we're going there and clean it up, let's clean it up both ways.
The committee agreed to draft a document asking for an affidavit from solar applicants agreeing to not use parts from adversarial nations that could risk cybersecurity. This will go to the full board for consideration later this month. You can now text 911 in DeWitt County. On the WHOW Morning Show Monday, DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker told Regional Radio the new service went live a few weeks ago. He's excited about what this will mean for the public and its access to emergency services.
Yeah, last week we got our last wireless carrier on board, and you can, in DeWitt County, you can now text to 911. It's basically, you just type 911 into who you want to receive the text and send a text, and it will come to our dispatch center. Say you got a new contact that you're wanting to text somebody, and you don't have them saved in your contacts. So the first time you got to put their phone number in the recipient area. All you do is put 911 in that recipient area, type your message, and hit send, and it goes right to 911. I was one of the people testing it with the Verizon carrier, and went right there. They get it on their screen. They text you back and have a conversation just like if you were using the phone. It's a texting conversation.
According to the sheriff, authorities still prefer a phone call. However, the service will be great for those situations where the person sending the text needs to be discreet about their activity.
We would prefer someone to call so we can, have a real-time conversation, because obviously, when you're texting, there's a little bit of lag time there with the typing and things like that. But if you can't call, text, obviously there could be times when in situations people are in positions where they can't pick up the phone and call, but they got their phone, a domestic situation or something, where you could text 911 and get the help that you need. One thing that we cannot receive, we can receive, but we got to go through a couple extra steps is photos and videos. We encourage people not to send those, because that puts the dispatchers in a position where they have to reach out to another provider to get those things. So right now, just they will receive emojis. We tested that, but as far as if you take a picture of a car accident or somebody that's doing something and you send that, we can get it, but we got to go through some extra steps. So if it's truly an emergency, please don't do that, because we want to be able to get you the first responders that you need as fast as possible.
Sheriff Walker credits the new 911 coordinator, Karen Clevenger, for seeing this project to the finish line. This is part of an ongoing Next-Gen 911 effort the county's been pursuing for several years.
Next-Gen was something that has been coming. Now our new CENTCOM director, Karen Clevenger, she's the one who got this going. Found out this was supposed to have been completed in 2023, and we were behind on that. So when she got in here and started working on that and got all the carriers on board and got this thing going here for us. And then it was a matter of getting all of the wireless carriers on board and making sure they were able to do that. Verizon was our last one, because we started this the week before, getting those carriers on board, doing the testing the week before Labor Day. So last week, the Verizon rep who does that was available Wednesday. So Wednesday we got that completed with Verizon, and that was the last one. So as of last Wednesday, we have been up and running with text to 911, phone calls, and making sure people were available at the right times, and having one of the challenges was making sure we had people, within the office or somebody available that had the carriers. We need somebody from like AT&T, we need somebody from Verizon, all the different ones to be able to do the test.
The sheriff reminds, just simply text your emergency to 911 and DeWitt County dispatchers will be notified and quickly respond to get you the help you need. All good things must come to an end, and unfortunately, that means the very mild fall-like weather we've had for the better part of the 2.5 weeks. On the WHOW Morning Show Monday, Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln told Regional Radio a warm-up is coming, and the warmest days will likely be this Friday through Sunday.
Yeah, we've had a really cool Canadian air mass just settled in. The whole month of September now has been below normal every single day, which has been extremely comfortable. Just dry air, kind of perfect fall conditions if you like fall. And that high pressure is shifting east. So what that means, when high pressure shifts east, the winds start turning southerly as the high pressure departs. And we're going to crank the heat back up, no doubt about it. By Friday, Saturday, some 90s might creep in. Saturday is our highest day of 92 or so in the area, which is pretty warm. It's not records. Records are still up around 100. The latest 100 we've had it in Lincoln is September 29th. We've had some heat late in September still. So, but anyway, it's going to be pretty warm and a little bit more humid, not as bad as August humidity, but going to warm up for this weekend and continue. Like today, still a nice, comfortable 76, which is, 8 degrees below normal, almost 9. 79 for Tuesday. 84 Wednesday, 88 Thursday, 90 Friday, 92 Saturday, and then a little cooler, 88 only on Sunday, but definitely about 4 degrees warmer each day almost as we head through into Saturday being the warmest day. And there's not any sign of precipitation, and the winds aren't going to be that strong either. So, because we start to get field fires this time of year. We had some really bad ones, Champaign County last year, and even crossing I-74. So when we see high winds and really high heat, and we got drought starting to set in this harvest season, I don't know how much harvesting is going to occur this week, but it could start. I see some of the fields. That corn is ready to go. It looks like in a few spots. So we got to be really wary of that if the winds start picking up, but it doesn't look like.
Shimon indicates the next few weeks could be rather warm, and while this weekend will be the hottest stretch of days will consistently be in the 80s.
It's going to stay. We've got a cold front trying to come in on Sunday, and Monday it just hits maybe northern Illinois and stops. So we are probably going to stay, in the outlooks for 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day outlooks, solidly and above normal, like 60 to 70th percentile trends toward above normal. So, it's going to be warm all the way through at least the middle of the month, if not into the third week of August, because this 8 to 14 day outlook goes to the 21st. And we are solidly and actually, almost the 80th percentile of above normal. So it's triggering, those 80s and lower 90s. We'll probably be in at least the 80s all the way through that third week of September at this point.
Mm-hmm. The next few weeks look to be rather dry as well. Shimon points out the rest of the month looks to be pretty dry in general. Get news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. It's DeWitt County's #1 source for news, DeWittDailyNews.com. Sports is next.
Shane Steinberg here from Highway 51 Exchange, your equipment rental headquarters, south of Clinton on US 51. Check our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com to book online today and pick up tomorrow. Highway 51 Exchange.
If you're tired of worrying about home maintenance and stairs, at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, you don't have to. Enjoy independent living duplexes that are half the cost of traditional independent living options. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Our local hospitals are the heartbeat of our communities, delivering critical care every hour of every day for everyone, training the next generation of caregivers. Beyond the walls, their benefit to the community is everywhere, driving the local economy and supporting local organizations, initiatives, and neighbors. Illinois Hospitals, healing communities. Learn more at team-iha.org. That's sponsored by the Illinois Health and Hospital Association, aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
With its increased efficiency and lower fuel costs, ag producers know that propane is better for their bottom line. And now, participating in the Propane Farm Research Program can impact your bottom line. Share your propane equipment performance data, and you can receive compensation like up to $5,000 towards towable generators and generators for backup power, and up to $2,000 for propane building heat systems. To take advantage of all the ways propane is better for your bottom line, start your application today at propane.com/PFRP.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. J.J. McCarthy threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another, and the Minnesota Vikings rallied for a season-opening 27-24 win over the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. Chicago's Caleb Williams had his first career rushing touchdown and threw for a score in Ben Johnson's debut as the Bears coach. McCarthy delivered down the stretch after struggling through the first 3 quarters in its first meaningful game since Michigan beat Washington for the national championship at the end of the 2023 season. He sat out last year due to a knee injury after the Vikings had drafted him with the 10th overall pick. Things were not looking good for McCarthy after Nashawn Wright returned an interception 74 yards for a touchdown to give the Bears a 17-6 lead in the third quarter, but he turned it around in the fourth. McCarthy connected with Justin Jefferson for a 13-yard touchdown pass. However, the 2-point conversion failed. Minnesota then needed just 3 plays to grab the lead, with McCarthy throwing a 27-yard touchdown pass to Aaron Jones. The conversion pass to Adam Thielen put the Vikings on top 20-17 with 9:46 remaining. McCarthy made it a 10-point game with about 3 minutes left after he faked a handoff and turned up the right side for a 14-yard touchdown run. Chicago then went 65 yards for a score, with Williams throwing a 1-yard touchdown pass to Roma Dunze with just over 2 minutes remaining, but the Vikings hung on to beat the Bears for the 8th time in the past 9 games. McCarthy was 13 of 20 for 143 yards. Jefferson and Jones each had 44 yards receiving. Will Richard kicked 2 field goals, including a 59-yarder near the end of the first half that matched a Soldier Field record. Williams, coming off a shaky rookie season after being drafted with the top pick, completed 21 of 35 passes for 210 yards and a score. The former Heisman Trophy winner also ran for a 9-yard touchdown in the first quarter. He said the way Johnson called the game was not the issue for the Bears. The Bears had 12 penalties for 127 yards. They were missing 3 important players, with cornerback Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, and linebacker TJ Edwards all inactive. The Bears visit the NFC North champion Detroit Lions on Sunday. Ozzie Albies and Matt Olson homered. Bryce Elder had his 4th straight strong start as the Braves beat the Cubs 4-1 Monday night. The Cubs, who lead the NL wildcard race, lost for the 4th time in 5 games. Olson went 2 for 4 and hit his 23rd home run of the season in the 8th inning. Elder pitched 1-run ball for 6 1/3 innings. The 26-year-old right-hander struck out 6, walked 1, and allowed 5 hits. He has allowed 4 unearned runs in his last 4 starts over 26 1/3 innings. Tyler Kinley worked a perfect 8th for his 13th straight scoreless appearance for the Braves. Raisel Iglesias pitched the 9th and earned his 25th save. Cubs starter Shota Imanaga gave up 3 runs in the first inning before settling down. He retired 16 of the final 17 batters he faced, but was lifted after 6 innings. He gave up 5 hits, no walks, and had 4 strikeouts. The Cubs scored in the 7th with Matt Shaw's sac fly to center, scored Dinko Horner. The Cubs finally threatened Elder in the 7th with runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, but Johnson retired Shaw and Reese McGuire to keep the score 3-1. Cubs right-hander Cade Horton faces Braves right-hander Spencer Strider in the second game of the 3-game set tonight. Josh Naylor hit a go-ahead 2-run double in the 6th inning, helping the Mariners beat the Cardinals 4-2 Monday night. Naylor, who homered in his last 2 games, turned a hanging curveball from Cardinals reliever Gordon Graceffo for a 2-run shot after Julio Rodriguez got Seattle on the board with a RBI single. After his double, Naylor made a heads-up play and stole third, allowing him to score with ease on a sac fly by Jorge Polanco. The Mariners scored 4 runs in the 6th inning to erase St. Louis's advantage. The Cardinals jumped out in front 2-0 on a 2-run home run from Alec Burleson in the 4th inning, his 17th of the season. That was all the offense St. Louis could muster against Mariners starter Brian Wu before 3 relievers combined to close out the win. Andres Munoz secured his 33rd save. Cardinals left-hander Matthew Liberatore starts Tuesday night opposite Mariners right-hander George Kirby in the 2nd game of the 3-game set. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Find out how you and your family can save up to 40% on the meat, produce, and grocery items you use every day by clicking the Clinton Save-A-Lot icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Jay Peterson here from Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton, Farmer City, and Maroa. Find out how Pekin Insurance can give you peace of mind by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4-lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ace now offers free assembly and free delivery, so it's never been easier to get a great grill for your family, like a Weber gas grill, a Traeger wood pellet grill, or a Big Green Egg charcoal grill. Only at your neighborhood Ace. Around the block. What you need in stock. With people who know their grills.
This is Brad from Gisonet's Hardware in Clinton, Illinois. Stop in to see us, the helpful place at 114 North Madison Street, Clinton.
See participating store for details.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at BaumChevyBuick.com right from the start.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Israel's military issues an urgent warning to civilians in Gaza City, get out now. Preparing for an expanded military offensive, the Israelis urging a full-scale evacuation of Gaza City. President Trump says it's Democrats who, in the president's words, refused to put bad people in jail, responsible for last month's fatal stabbing of a young Ukrainian woman on a light rail train in Charlotte, North Carolina. Authorities say the man charged in the murder has a long history of mental illness, arrests, and erratic behavior. It's called the America Praise Initiative, something new that's being launched by Team Trump as a significant anniversary approaches, America's 250th anniversary next year. On Wall Street this morning, ahead of the opening bell, stock futures have been modestly higher. This is SRN News.
From the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Seth Lawrence with this local news update. You can now text 911 in DeWitt County. On the WHOW Morning Show Monday, DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker told Regional Radio the new service went live last week. He's excited about what this will mean for the public and its access to emergency services.
Yeah, last week we got our last wireless carrier on board, and you can, in DeWitt County, you can now text to 911. It's basically, you just type 911 into who you want to receive the text and send a text, and it will come to our dispatch center. Say you got a new contact that you're wanting to text somebody. and you don't have them saved in your contacts. So the first time you got to put their phone number in the recipient area. All you do is put 911 in that recipient area, type your message and hit send, and it goes right to 911. I was one of the people testing it with the Verizon carrier, and went right there. They get it on their screen. They text you back and have a conversation just like if you were using the phone. It's a texting conversation.
According to the sheriff, authorities still prefer a phone call. However, the service will be great for those situations where the person sending the text needs to be discreet about their activity.
We would prefer someone to call so we can, have a real-time conversation, because obviously, when you're texting, there's a little bit of lag time there with the typing and things like that. But if you can't call, text, obviously there could be times when in situations people are in positions where they can't pick up the phone and call, but they got their phone, a domestic situation or something where you could text 911 and get the help that you need. One thing that we cannot receive, we can receive, but we got to go through a couple extra steps is photos and videos. We encourage people not to send those, because that puts the dispatchers in a position where they have to reach out to another provider to get those things. So right now, just they will receive emojis. We tested that, but as far as if you take a picture of a car accident or somebody that's doing something and you send that, we can get it, but we got to go through some extra steps. So if it's truly an emergency, please don't do that, because we want to be able to get you the first responders that you need as fast as possible.
The sheriff again reminds, just simply text your emergency to 911 and DeWitt County dispatchers will be notified and quickly respond to get you